Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I have with me once again in the studio Justice Pius Kumai Akaahs, retired Justice of the Supreme Court. I'm privileged to have you in my studio today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you very much. The last time we were discussing The Conscience of a Man, your book, The Conscience of a Man by Gloria Ballasin. Now we want to discuss what has happened to our country. You belong to the generation of Nigerians who went to secondary school in the 50s up to the early 60s. You went to the university and then began to practice law at a time when there was a measure of morality. You went to schools, high schools, at a time that the schools didn't have much, but there was discipline. There was order. We don't know whether you are hearing of what is happening today. These days we are hearing of the kind of wickedness that is going on in schools called bullying. We are hearing of people even being killed in secondary schools by senior students, bullying. We hear of gang rape going on in secondary schools. Incredible things. Then, of course, we leave secondary school and go to the universities. Today, most of those universities are closed. But when they are in session, all kinds of things apart from reading, apart from studies, going on. Then in the outside world, among politicians, among businessmen and women, the kind of things going on, we had discussed conscience in the first edition. What will you say has gone wrong with the Nigerian society? Where are we with conscience? Where are we with moral upbringing, with raising our young people in moral principles? Where are we, and then what can we do about it?
Well, Father, in my little way, what has gone wrong with our country is that we have done away with being responsible and accountable.
We have done away with responsibility and accountability.
And why do I say this? Before the Babangida administration came up with the new breed politicians in the 80s, of course, there was the election to the an election took place 1991-92. Mm-hmm. Before you could contest for an election,
yes,
say to the for local government election,
yes,
you would have worked in the civil service or in a company, and you have your records of performance to speak for you.
Correct.
Now, unfortunately, that was thrown overboard, and they said new breed politicians. And what did they come with? There wasn't any record of performance to show, and what you are bringing to the table to help in promoting the development of society. Now, all we began to hear was sharing of money. In fact, when I was in Benin from 1999 to 2003.
That was in appeal court.
Yes. That was the first time I started hearing about sharing.
So the concept of sharing.
Yes. The concept of sharing, at the end of the month, money is shared out, and everybody takes his share and does whatever he likes with it. But I remember in the 60s, we used to do community development. If you were constructing a culvert or a road, the community will come together and ensure that
the road was constructed.
And of course, in the houses, the sanitary inspectors will come to make sure that you keep your environment clean and neat.
Otherwise, you'll be fined.
Of course, very heavy fines for that. But overnight, government said, no, you don't have to do community work. Everything government will do. And I think that is where we started losing our bearings.
Community initiative was destroyed.
It was completely destroyed. So much so that if you ask people to come out to repair,
to sweep the town square,
a gutter or something like that,
where's the money?
They will say, where is the money? Because they would have concluded that you have pocketed the money. So you see, we lost that virtue of service and of being committed.
Yes.
These days, of course, secondary school boys will come to you and say, oh, I need some money, I want to go into politics. And I said, I don't have money to give you to go into politics. Why not go and learn a trade and see how you apply yourself? And of course, they will laugh at you and go away.
Because what they expect is that you give them money.
Yes. So, now, I think where we also got it wrong, the purge.
The 1975
purge.
Yeah, 1975 purge. Murtala Mohammed.
It did a lot of damage to the system. So much so that the civil servants who ensured that the necessary procedures were put in place to check pilfering and daylight robbery were done away with.
For those who do not understand, by 1975, under the Murtala Mohammed government, there was a major purge in the civil service where people who have been in the civil service for 30, 32, 33, 34 years, all of a sudden
lost their
job. They were sacked. They made no provision
for this thing.
Gratuity, nothing, and they were just asked to go. So those who remained in the civil service, and before then we used to have what we call super permanent secretaries.
Yes, like the Aidas, the Damchidas.
Yes.
The
Onosodes.
Precisely.
Yes. So they were sent away like that, and those who remained in the civil service now lost a sense of confidence that they would be taken care of. They felt that any day they could be asked to leave, and they began to.
Of course, I mean, if the opportunity came, they would take whatever they can take, so that if an announcement was made tomorrow that their services have been terminated, they will have something to fall back on. But I'm sorry to say that it doesn't justify
stealing
where we are today. Now, there was also the takeover of schools,
which happened between 1971 and 1975.
Yes. The takeover of schools, you see, hitherto there was competition between the
private
schools and the government schools. And invariably, the private schools did much better than the government schools in terms of academics and other things. Now, I even remembered the late Audu Bako when he was pressurized to take over St. Louis and St. Thomas's in Kano. He turned around to say, look at the results that are coming out.
The quality of persons.
The quality of results and persons that are coming out. So that competition was destroyed.
When all the schools were taken over.
When they were taken over. And although you would say those that initiated the takeover of schools, you would say were Christians, because we had the Upabiasika of the East Central State, who was the first
to take over schools.
But I believe that if we want to get back our moral compass, then we must reinstate, or we must give back these schools. It may not be easy, but at least the missionaries had a goal of not just producing intellectuals, but morally upright citizens who ordinarily would not think of what we are seeing today. Because right now, you can commit blue murder, and as long as you have the right connections, nothing is going to happen to you.
No,
once there is no moral compass, there is no holdback on what the individual can do.
Now, and that takes me to your area, the area you spent all your life, the judiciary, law enforcement and sanctions.
Yes.
Bad as the situation is, we are still saying the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. What can be done to make sure that things don't get so bad that Nigerians lose confidence completely in the judiciary? Because it is in our interest, in the interest of all of us, to make sure that the judiciary remains a place where we all have confidence in. That, look, okay, if these things run up to the courts, if it doesn't win in the, if the truth is not sustained in the High Court, then in the Appeal Court, and if not in the Supreme Court, we can be sure. But then if Nigerians begin to believe that if you are well connected, that you can find your way, even if you commit, as you say, blue murder, what hope will there be for such a country?
Well, you see, Father, I want to put the blame on the mode of appointments.
Appointments?
Yes. They say the computer people say garbage in, garbage out. Now, if you have to rely on somebody to be appointed a judge, of course, he will come back for his pound of flesh.
Okay, if the individual who wants to be a judge relies on somebody
to get him appointed, and not that he is qualified,
he merits it.
He merits the appointment. If somebody merits the appointment and he's appointed, he may not,
he will stand on his own.
He will stand on his own and try to do the right thing.
But if he got appointed by patronage?
Of course. He say, you rub my back, I rub your own. So this is one area I remembered when I was being considered for appointment, and many others of my generation, You didn't go to lobby anybody to be appointed.
So you didn't know, you didn't have a godfather to get
In
into.
fact, if you ever mentioned and the chief judge gets to know that you are lobbying to be appointed,
that disqualifies
that
you.
automatically disqualifies you. What the chief judge will do at the time is, when there are vacancies and he wants to appoint, he will send out letters to the chief judges of other jurisdictions and the senior lawyers to comment on your suitability and your knowledge. It is after collecting all this information, and of course a background check is made with the security services, that you are now appointed. You wouldn't even know. All that you will know is they will request you to submit your CV. That is all.
But these days we are hearing of lobbying.
Of course, people are even apply.
People are applying, and
people apply
are lobbying
to become judges, and then you have people saying, "Oh, my own must be there."
Yeah, you now we even now have sectional interests at play.
So that is this thing. It's a pity. If we, I sincerely hope that we'll do something about appointing the right people.
I mean, what you have said about judges applies also to political office holders, because, as you said, garbage in, garbage out. If we end up with money bags, beginning from the amount of money you need to purchase a form for governor or president or senator or whatever, if we end up with money bags in an environment where a lot of money is not clean money, right?
Yes, yes.
If we end up with money bags getting into public office, then what do we expect? What do we expect at the end of the day?
Of course, it's an investment.
It's an investment.
It's an investment. I mean, if somebody spends money to get elected, the first thing is to recoup whatever he has spent in getting into that office. That is the truth of the matter.
So let's get back to the issue of conscience that we discussed in the first edition. How bad will it get before those who lead the Nigerian people, before they recognize that we are on the very wrong path and we are in the destructive path, and that our vehicle is crashing, is knocking? How far will it get? Because for me, I mean, I think that we are already in a very, very bad shape. But it appears that our superintendents don't recognize it.
Well, is it that they do not recognize, or that the willpower is not there? I believe that all that we're experiencing now is a fallout of the breakdown of law and order. Mm-hmm. Right? The breakdown of law and order, the compromising of
moral principles,
the security forces, particularly, especially the police, if a policeman is investigating a case, then he is compromised. He will give you the wrong conclusion, and you may not even get the witnesses that are supposed to come forward to testify. Mm-hmm. They will disappear. And of course, you cannot convict on suspicion.
No.
You can never convict on suspicion, no matter how strong. There must be clear evidence that leads to one conclusion, and that is that the person standing trial has actually committed the offense. So, but what I keep saying, using the the imagery of a pebble being dropped
into the
ocean or into a body of water. The ripples that one sees individually, we have a responsibility to each and every one of us to try and do what is right.
Mm-hmm.
If we say that the whole community must come together
before we
can take action, I don't think we'll ever reach there. But if individuals begin to see the need to do what is right, take for example, you are driving and you get to the traffic light. Of course, there are many that will say, oh, there's an opportunity, let me pass, even if the traffic lights have turned red. Now, in the process, you could get a crash. But if we individually realize that all these things are put in place for our own good, mm-hmm. and begin to discipline ourselves to try to do them even if others are not.
Thank you for bringing that example of individual effort, individual contribution to the transformation of our society. A lot of Nigerians don't seem to recognize how powerful the individual contribution is, because you see everybody complaining, but each one is doing their own to bring Nigeria down.
Well, they said, when you are accusing somebody and you are accusing, you point one finger, the remaining four are pointing towards you.
Yeah, because you see, just go across to the road now, and you see the number of people who are jumping red light. And as they are jumping red light, they may actually be complaining about Nigeria.
Precisely.
And they cannot see that action is worsening the Nigerian situation.
That's true.
Yeah. So individual effort, meaning do the right thing on your own, then what about mentoring? Raise young people. I have read about your first daughter Joyce, your first son Alex, your second son Benedict, your daughter Fidelia, your daughter Catherine.
Yes.
And their testimonies about the impact your life has on them and on their moral choices. What would you say to parents of young children?
Well, let me say this. I thank God that what we have tried to impart on our children has had some effect. Now, what parents ought to do is, with the help of God, they are expected to also tell their children the right thing to do and not act in for convenience. What I mean by this is, you tell your child, don't tell lies. Somebody comes in, you don't want to see that person. Instead of you coming out to tell him, sorry,
I can't see
you, I can't attend to you, you tell that child,
tell him I'm not in.
Go and tell him that I'm not in.
You have taught the child to lie.
Of course, the child will. He may even start arguing with you, but is that the right thing? But the impact on the psyche
is
devastating. So what I say is, God created all of us, and He knows our strong points and our weak points. All we can do is to live by the examples we want to impart on our children.
So model the behavior you want your children to copy.
And I want to say this. Even if I had the money, myself and my wife would make up our minds that our children must school here up to the first degree.
Our children must school here up to the first degree.
If they are going for masters, that is okay. By that time,
they have grown up.
They are fully formed, or at least they are able to decipher right from wrong. Because many a child has been destroyed by going out at tender age. What you are looking for parental guidance, you can't get it out there.
Yeah.
And as a result of that,
the internet takes over.
The result to either taking drugs or other social this thing. So my sincere appeal is government should not pay lip service to our education. Because what our children are imbibing outside,
it's not good for our country.
It's not good. And we'll wake up one day to find that we have no country. So I am making a passionate appeal to the governments of the day to take education seriously. I was going to support the idea that any government employee should be banned from sending his
this
children
is it.
abroad.
I mean, somebody was bringing that up in the parliament, and they shut him down.
No, I am of that listing, because if your child
is in the school,
is in the local school,
yes,
you take interest to know whether the teachers are teaching or not.
Yes.
You take interest to know whether your child is in school or not.
Yes.
But if he is out there,
yes, you don't care what happens in the school.
I mean, even the airfare alone would discourage you from thinking of going to see him once in a while.
No, it's a fantastic
and before long, you discover that
you have lost your child.
You have lost the child.
Yeah.
And there is nothing like parental love.
Yes.
I think we have the wrong values of saying, well, let me try as much as possible to make sure that I amass wealth so that when I'm gone, my children will not suffer. I am sorry, it is the wrong approach. It is a wrong approach.
Yes.
The important thing is make the child to know what he ought to do, so that tomorrow, if he meets with challenges, he will face them.
Yes. That the greatest thing a man, a woman can give the child is moral formation.
Yes.
Formation of character. And with character, you can withstand any challenge.
Precisely.
Thank you very much. We'll be bringing this to an end. I have been speaking with Honorable Justice Pius Kumai Akaahs, retired Justice of the Supreme Court, who has been acclaimed as a man of integrity, a man of conscience. And, Luke Terra has been doing some work. You were interviewed by our agent. Luke Terra has been doing some work on models of integrity. And Justice Akaahs is one of our models of integrity. We are projecting to Nigerians that bad as the situation may be today, rotten as the situation may be today, there are shining lights in the Nigerian society. There are models, people who have through thick and thin struggled to live that life of integrity. And I am proud and happy to be able to present Justice Kumai Akaahs as one of our models of integrity. And may the Nigerian public take a look at you and others that we are presenting and make efforts to live like that, so that in their old age, even if they are materially poor, in their old age, they will be able to sleep in peace and also be able to meet their God with a clear conscience. God bless you, sir.
You're very grateful, Father.
Thank you.
And thank you for pouring these communions on me. Honestly speaking, I don't merit what you have said about me. As I said, but for the grace of God, here goes I. And whichever faith one belongs to should be true to that faith. And we continue to pray for our country, Nigeria, that we'll get out of the throes of the morass in which we have found ourselves.
Now. Amen.
And like Phoenix, grow out and be a star in the firmament.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.